What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Creating Wealth Podcast, where I, Kyle, from Curtin Real Estate, interview local top dogs in the real estate investing, wealth building, and personal finance industries. Let's build together. What's up, guys? The guest on the final part of this two-part episode of the podcast is absolutely incredible and is a jack of all trades in real estate. Don is an Uxbridge, Massachusetts native and is an astounding real estate investor, realtor, commercial property manager, and hard money loan originator. He really does it all. This interview altogether was filled with some really life-changing tips. In the back half of this episode, we get into how to open the doors to opportunities and creating your team, changing the lives of the younger generations through entrepreneurship and finance, our thoughts on entrepreneurial skills being taught in schools, and so much more. There is a bunch of really cool info in this episode, and I hope you enjoy. Let's jump right into the episode.
That kind of goes back to the whole, direct marketing.
Yep.
I know shit about marketing direct to motivated sellers, right? I knew how to send out some mailers and, things like that, on the real estate side. But, this was a whole new, world for me to navigate. So, it would have took a lot of time, a lot of effort, probably a lot of wasted resources to try to figure it out myself.
Yep.
Versus connecting with the people that were already kicking ass at that particular thing that I was looking to do. And, that probably significantly accelerated the time to get that marketing machine going versus if I would have, done it myself. I probably wouldn't have been marketing to the right pool of people or utilizing the right tools and resources and software. And, who better to learn from and talk to than the people that are already doing it, right? And
100%.
That's what great coaching and mentorship is all about.
Yeah. I mean, even especially too, like if you haven't necessarily met like some of those people yet, kind of formed a good relationship, but also looking at resources like Biggerpockets and YouTube and podcasts and stuff. Like literally, man. So one of the first times that I sent out mailers, I wasn't 100% sure what I was doing. Like I was literally getting like public data from the MLS, right? And right. I was got the list that way. And I downloaded like an absentee owner list. And so like the way it shows on there, you probably know, but I'll just kind of explain it anyways, is like there's usually two addresses on there. So like there'll be one for the actual like subject property that you would be marketing to,
right,
as well as the actual owner's mailing address.
Well, right. You're right. Exactly. The property address and the mailing address. Yep.
Exactly. So because I wasn't sure what I was doing, I sent like 50 of them to the actual subject properties themselves instead of the owner's like address. Right. And like people were responding to me saying like, oh, nobody lives here. And like,
Well, that's why it's important, like, utilizing software like Investor Hub, because it's scrubbing out the list. All right, this owner owns 25 properties. Only send the message to the one owner one time versus sending out 25 pieces of marketing to 25 different houses. So you're only targeting the owner versus the properties.
That's a really
but again, that's a mistake I would have made if it wasn't for that, coaching.
Exactly. Like there's a ridiculous amount of power in having those resources. It was, a stupid little mistake, cost me some money, whatever. But like, if you like dig a little bit more into it and, be able to have those people to ask the questions to and stuff, like bigger picture and like just generally speaking, like you'll make a lot less of those mistakes and have a lot more practical, meaningful action, right from the get-go. Like if there was somebody to tell me like, hey, dude, like obviously send it to the mailing address, not the actual house itself. The tenants are probably
Right.
looking at it like, who's this Kyle guy? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
Right. And they're not incentivized to pass that information on to a landlord because
Exactly.
they don't want, anyone buying that property, anything happening with that landlord, relationship. So that basically goes right in the trash, or a delete on a, voicemail, a text message if you're targeting the wrong person.
Yeah. Like, and it's something like as simple as that, like you look at the wrong column on a spreadsheet and you already spent like 50 something bucks, you know what I mean? Like, if you have that
Right.
person there, to kind of like run your process by them, or like, see how they like do their marketing and stuff. Like, they might tell you to completely get rid of like, the subject property columns, literally just look at one column and, the contact. So like, you can't mess it up. There's literally like one set of information there. But like, if you haven't really connected with the people to, be able to ask those kind of questions to, like, yeah, you're probably going to make that mistake. And, that's okay.
Right.
Like, as long as you learn from it and everything. But like you mentioned, if you have those people, you might be able to kind of avoid those kind of mistakes.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure you won't make that mistake again next time, right? You learn from it.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. I like, one thing I kind of want to get into too is like meeting those people and those like mentors, so to say. I feel like
Right.
now in today's day and age, with like the power of social media and like YouTube, Instagram, podcasts, like all this kind of stuff, I feel like it's never really been easier, like to kind of sorry. I feel like it's never really been easier to like meet the people that you're looking for. Like,
Right.
I was just telling somebody yesterday, like another person, starting to like get into real estate investing and wholesaling and stuff. And I was telling him, I'm like, hey man, like, you got to check out LinkedIn. Like, if you want to meet like all the investors in your area, or like loan officers in Massachusetts, or literally, like, LinkedIn is a phenomenal place for it, because you can search for
Right.
like the occupation as well as put in like, a location. So like, oftentimes I would use like real estate investors in the greater Boston area, and then like you can
Right.
connect with all these people. And like, once it shows that they, accepted it, they connected it, then like all you have to do is reach out to them, and just kind of, see if they want to have a conversation. And like, I feel like most of the time, like, people love to kind of tell their story, and as well as network and stuff at the same time. And like, social media is
Yeah.
free for the most part, it's just like kind of using it in a different way.
Yeah. No one has an excuse now to not be able to reach out and
Yeah.
ask questions, or try to network. I mean, I'm not a social media guru by any chance. Really, LinkedIn has really been my only focus, but, there's such a power in the ability to network, there with like-minded individuals, which I love. But, there's so many other opportunities, whether it's someone on, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, whatever your chosen communication is, out to the world, is what you should really tap into. But for the most part, if anyone is interested in real estate investing, I think the group of people in real estate investing are very, very open to networking and having a conversation, or grabbing a cup of coffee, or jumping on the phone, or
Yeah.
a podcast like this. I mean, people are very, I've never come across anyone that's like, oh no, stop calling me, stop. Everyone seems like they're willing to give you, a few minutes of their valuable time. They're all busy, they're all have a bunch of things going on, but I've always been, felt very welcomed reaching out to anyone I've ever reached out to ask a question or whatever. And that might lead to some really cool opportunities, whether it's a joint venture kind of thing, or like in my case, a coaching opportunity, or even an opportunity. I reached out to, you had another guest on, Chris Roach, to ask us some questions and have a conversation. And we had coffee, which led to an opportunity to work with him on the hard money, side of things. So you just never know just by reaching out what that could lead to.
You're right. I couldn't agree more, man. It really is. It really is unbelievable. Like the doors that open when you literally just talk to people, and even like, yeah, I totally agree with you about like the real estate investing community as a whole. Like it was extremely eye-opening to see that, like, literally, like, I don't think I've ever met anybody like in this industry that, like you said, has been like so like self-centered and self-reserved and like, not wanting to help you. Like, would you say it's kind of like because of how much of a team sport it is? Like, 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 I don't know how to word it, I guess. Like, you kind of have to work together with others, to be able to create those visions and stuff. Like, I've tried to like kind of put a point on it before, but like, I don't really get it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's just like extremely nice and like,
and
I love it.
I mean, listen, everyone is very competitive, but there's no instance where people are like, I'm not going to talk to you because I don't want you to cut in on my territory or whatever it is. Like, you don't see any of that, and I'm sure it exists, but it's probably so limited as you just can't be afraid just to pick up that phone or send that email or send a text or reach out to whatever social media platform that you're on just to ask a question. And you know what? The worst case scenario is, hey, I don't have time right now, but let's connect down the road. But most times most people are willing to, and especially in a networking, platform like LinkedIn, people are on there for a reason. Is to network, is to share business ideas. It's to, network within, the industries that you're focused on. So that is a great platform for anyone looking to network, as you mentioned earlier.
It really is. Like one thing that I've kind of started to see too is like, for the most part, like some of the like very, very successful people out there, whether it's like an investor or a property manager, like I feel like, they tend to help out the most people. I mean, like obviously generally speaking, but like, so like they're kind of doing their thing, but they're also showing others like how to come up as well and just kind of bring up people together. And it really is nice.
Right.
Hey buddy, how you doing?
Hi.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a future real estate investor.
Of course. I'll have him on the podcast someday.
Yeah, there you go. A few years, I'll have him on. He'll have some multi-families by then.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. Ooh. What is something that you thought about business, networking, or wealth creation that kind of changed as you went along, like as you progressed?
Oh boy. I think, we'll kind of stick on that, topic of just networking. I've always been the kind of person that was like, I'm going to operate individually. I'm going to figure it out. If there's a challenge, I'm going to be able to, figure it out. But I really learned to ask questions and ask for advice and help and, guidance. And that's really helped, a lot, in my business world. And, whether it's on, the investment side or even the real estate sales side is, just being able to just open up to, other people in the industry and share ideas is something I was a little scared to do at first. And that's why I said, just do it. I mean, make that phone call, go to an REI meetup. A lot of people are very nervous to attend, those meetups. I certainly was, but you meet a lot of great people there, and I never, and I'm sure you have, and never ever once felt intimidated by, meeting someone else in the industry. So, another great example of that is when I first got my real estate license, I joined a large brokerage as one of, hundreds of real estate agents. And I felt like I wasn't getting the support or the, level of training as I thought, I would. And so I kind of randomly reached out to a local broker here in the Uxbridge area. The small office has a handful of agents, and just said, hey, let's grab a cup of coffee. And that cup of coffee turned into a 4-hour conversation. At the end of that conversation, we shaking hands. I was joining his brokerage. And since joining that brokerage, I did a number of deals that he helped, with lead generation and, help navigate through the sales process. And now I'm able to build a business based on that, support and leveraging, him, versus being in this big corporate brokerage office. And if I never picked up the phone and asked him to go for coffee, I would still be sitting there, one of 100 agents, not really getting, lead volume and stuff. So, 5 years ago, I probably, wouldn't have picked up that phone. Right. So those are some of the lessons I learned over the years is, even in my, career, being able to reach out to other property managers and other people in my company. I work for a very large, Fortune 50 company, global company. And there's people that do the job a lot better than I do. And I just had to learn to pick up the phone and, ask questions. And that's probably been my biggest, learning opportunity over the last 5 years in business, is just the power of networking.
Yeah. I don't blame you at all, man. Like starting off and especially going to meetups and stuff, they definitely are extremely intimidating, like to start off, because like you feel like you're like such a little fish in this big ocean, and like these guys are all like like doing all this really
these guys done thousands of deals, and I'm trying to get my first deal. What how much value could I add to that? And it's really not like that at all. I mean, it's just a group of the like-minded individuals trying to accomplish the same things. And that's really what that community is all about.
It really is. Like, I totally fell in love with it, and like, especially I want to kind of go back to what you were talking about, like with your first company as an agent as well. I did the same type of thing. Like I joined, it was a bigger like chain company. I think they're nationwide. I'm not sure, but it was great and everything, starting off, but like there was only like a little bit of training, and like getting questions and stuff answered was really tough, because it was the same type of thing. I was probably one of like 80 agents in the office or something,
right.
And like there are some people at the top that are absolutely killing it, and doing like ridiculous amounts of like sales and stuff. But then the people who are kind of starting off, I feel like it's, generally speaking, like really difficult to start off, and like I ended up making a transition recently to Candor, and it's literally been life-changing, man. Like just like a much smaller like just a much smaller group, with like-minded people, and being able to kind of have those people that you look up to, that you have the support to be able to take action and stuff, and it's a complete game changer. Especially like sorry.
No, I was saying, with those smaller brokerages, it's a boutique style. The broker can give you much more attention. They can share lead volume. It's easier to share lead volume when you have 3 or 4 agents in the office versus 100.
Yeah.
And you can service the customers really well too, because it is a boutique. You don't have 500 clients, that the brokerage is helping at any particular time. It's a truly, almost a one-on-one concierge level service, and I love that. And I don't feel like I'm part of a factory or machine that's just pumping out lead after lead. I'm really feel like I'm making an impact on my time with that client to help them throughout the process. And again, I have a full-time W-2 job, which I love. So, I can't, have 10 clients at any given time, but the 1, 2, or 3 clients that I have, I can really give really close attention to and really help mentor them through that home buying or sales process.
I totally agree. It's literally just a game changer. Like, it's a completely separate experience, being able to have that,
right,
that level of support. And yeah, I mean, like, just being able to be a lot more like relationship based than like just about the transaction, and like just kind of like you said, be able to really like hit home and dig deep to be able to help those clients out like as as best as possible. Instead of really, just having like a bunch of clients and like you have to divvy your time between all of them. And like I guess things could be a little bit more transactionally based instead of like relationship.
You gonna go eat? But yeah, in like your point, your real estate business on the sales side was a niche of house hacking, right? You're the house hacking agent. So why not join a brokerage that focuses exclusively on investments? And that's what you did, and I'm sure that's really helped your business versus a big corporate engine that is focused on a million different things. Now you can really focus on the business or that niche that you created for yourself. So we're definitely aligned in the same thought processes there.
Of course, yeah. And like I'm definitely not I guess kind of hate on like the big companies. Like they're fantastic and everything. It just, I feel like it isn't for everybody, especially like our kind of mentality as well, from the investment portion. Like I remember at the last company I was at, I remember asking somebody kind of higher up that I kind of looked up to, if there was any agents in the office that were, did a lot more like investment multifamily kind of deals. And like in a huge office, there was literally like, one agent that I was kind of referred to. So, I sent this nice woman an email and she's like, oh, I'm actually working on my first multifamily deal right now. I was like, oh, okay. Like, that's awesome and everything. It's a different style, between like just the emotional, getting people like their forever homes versus like making them income from rental properties and stuff. Like, it's a completely
Right.
separate field of thought.
Yeah. A completely different, customer and approach and marketing, for that. And obviously with, that group over at Candor, I focus, on, or watch them close on LinkedIn. They're doing some amazing things. So obviously you have a great group to learn from in that particular segment. So that's great. I'm glad you made that change. And I'm sure you're learning a lot, and it's going to help your business grow exponentially.
Thank you very much, man. My life literally has changed, since joining the team, and I want to thank everybody over there. Thank you very much, guys. But
Yeah.
just a quick little plug in. Ooh, Don, do you read? And what is your favorite business, investing, or real estate book that you would recommend to anyone?
I love reading, obviously. do less of it nowadays with just so much going on. Trying to build 2 businesses, have a full-time job, and raising kids, and trying to be a present member of the family. But at nights I try to read. My favorite books by far are the Biggerpockets books, and throw a dart at any one of them. They're great learning. But I'm going to plug a couple books here if you don't mind.
Go for it. Yeah.
Brandon Turner has a great book here, Investing in Real Estate with No and Low Money Down. Now, up until this year, when I started really get involved in Biggerpockets, I was always under the pressure. You had to go to the bank, ask for a loan, 20% down, 25% down. But there's so many different ways to invest in real estate with very little money. And this book really does a great job outlining a lot of those strategies. So for newbie investors, you don't have to go the conventional route where you're putting, 20% down and have to go get a conventional loan. There's so many great other things out there. The other book I love is because I'm focused on growing the real estate side of things, is Sold by David Green. Great information. Even if you're not a real estate agent, there's a lot of great tips in there. Even if you are on the real estate investing side, or even if you owned a business or a company outside of real estate, there's so much great information out there on building a business, marketing the business, and really trying to grow, outside of that kind of W-2 mindset where you're punching in at 8, punching it out at 5, is really focusing on the activities that's going to generate the most value or impact to your business. It kind of like, you get that holy shit moment, like, when you try to build a business, you're acting as if you're a W-2 employee where you're staying busy, right? Because someone's paying me for my time. I just want to stay busy, right? And I'm trying to work on a million different things and multitask and all that sort of stuff. But when it's your business, no one's paying you for your time.
Yeah.
Right. You have to put in as much effort on the things that it's going to generate, revenue. So you have to almost switch over flip that switch when it's your own business and you're self-employed versus someone paying you, for your time. And this book does a great job outlining that. So that's why I always recommend that book.
Book is so good.
My nephew, he is just in high school. He completed his freshman year, and I got him hooked on the Biggerpockets, and he's really, really interested in the real estate investing world. And I introduced him the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He loves it. He gobbled that information up. I wish I read that book when I was his age versus when I was in my 30s. It would have totally changed my life and trajectory if I would have read that book 10 or 20 years earlier than I did. So, but go on to Biggerpockets. Anyone that's looking for a great read, pick out any of the books. They have some great authors. Brandon Turner, David Green, they've been there, done that. A lot of great information. So check out those books.
Those books are absolutely amazing. I actually just finished Sold a couple weeks ago. That book was so good, man. Like, I feel like I have to kind of read it again, like, just to really like digest it, like the pages are covered
Right.
and highlights and everything. And like, there's so much information in that book. And I really like what you said about, like, even if you're not a real estate agent either, like, I feel like that book, like the principles in it apply to like a lot of different, niches and stuff. And
yeah,
like there's
any business that you're in, that book really, can resonate. So, he did a great job with that book. And, it's certainly, it's, books are meant to highlight and take notes and full pages, they're not meant to stay pristine. So when you see a book covered in notes, you're really doing a good job. That's what you're supposed to do.
And I love to what you did for, it was your nephew, right? What, Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yep.
That is absolutely
he was asking me about real estate investing and where to start. I said 2 things. Number 1, join Biggerpockets. He's already been on some of the webinars on how to buy your first property and all that sort of stuff. And then I said, the second thing you need to do is read this book. And since then, he's bought multiple books. He's bought several books on real estate investing, and every once in a while he'll text me some recommendations. So I love. Who knows? We might do a deal one day when he's ready. That would be awesome.
Wow. Oh my God.
And I'm going to do the same thing for my kids. As soon as my kids are old enough to comprehend, the information that Rich Dad, Poor Dad book, that book is going in their hands.
That just made my day, man.
Like my daughter's over there saying, no.
That literally just made my day.
Yeah, she's like, no more reading. I don't want to. You keep trying to make her read. Now that she's on summer break, it's like,
yeah,
we got to keep trying to make her read, and she just wants to enjoy summer. So she heard me mention, reading a book. She's like, no.
Yeah, we're supposed to take my training wheels off.
Oh, that is amazing. Yeah, that literally made my day, man. You changed your nephew's life so much already, and that he loves this stuff at that age. That's incredible. Literally, just being able to.
Yeah, I wish I had that mentality back then. I was young. I was just wanted to have, fun and do things, and hopefully he, for success really early in life. It took me 20 years to figure out. He can figure out pretty quick, just like yourself, man. I mean, when I was your age, I was just so focused on, the corporate ladder and working my ass off for someone else and getting promotions and acquiring, things versus focused on, generating capital to redeploy into making, more money. Again, those are lessons that I wish I learned, earlier in life and were able to adopt earlier. So you, my friend, are going to be leaps and bounds over most people just because of what you're doing at your age. So I applaud you for that. And that's the hope I have for someone like my nephew, that, and, my kids, teach them a little differently about, how to get started before you kind of get sucked in that black hole of life, right?
Yeah.
Because once you're in it, it's really hard. It's like you're being on the hamster wheel. And, I got caught up in it. Everybody that, basically 99% of people get caught up in that. And I don't want that for my kids and also my nephew that's looking to get a jump start. So that's awesome that, he's taken it to heart. So hopefully we can connect here on another podcast and he could be on it and talk about some deals that he did.
Oh, I can't wait. That's going to be amazing. Yeah. Thank you very much, Todd. I really do appreciate it. Because think about it this way too. Because you told your nephew about this stuff, he might tell a couple of his friends and they might get into this kind of mindset and different, alternative path. And then they might tell their friends. Right. I love thinking about that kind of thing. Just because, you showed these concepts, to someone very close to you, it could spread much further, than you might think. You might have touched a bunch of lives, just because, you showed your nephew a couple things and he took a love to it. I love that kind of unknown, I guess, because you're willing to, teach people and everything like that and kind of show them something different than what society has. It might actually be going 10x farther than you think it will. And being able to really hit home on people's lives, and how they live them and the paths they take. And yeah, that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And, I took this away on one of the bigger podcast episodes was, we teach our kids two things, right? We teach them stay in school, get a great education and get a great career, or we teach them, graduate high school, get a job, whether that's a trade or whatever, union job.
Yeah.
But we never give them a third option, which is entrepreneurship, right? Building wealth for yourself. No one ever talks about that, at a young age. Every teacher, every guidance counselor, everybody talks about, those two paths in life. It's either, get a great education, get a great job, which, what's a great job nowadays? Or, get a trade and, go through the union and apprenticeship and all that. But a lot of people don't talk about, well, there's also a third option, and it's called entrepreneurship and building wealth for yourself. So I want to also offer that opportunity to my kids as well, not just, those two options, but there's also this third option called entrepreneurship.
Yeah, definitely. And like the thing that really bothers me is like, like those teachers and stuff, like, if you love your profession, like, and, you were meant to be a teacher, you love it, like, that's fantastic. Like that, don't get me wrong, like that's amazing. That's great. But like, I feel like most of them that kind of keep pushing you along, like that, those same two paths, like they don't know about the third option either. And like, that bothers the hell out of me, man. Like literally there was, so I was in community college for a year before I said, F that, and went back into the trade. And I remember there was this English class that I was in, and my professor, she was an absolute sweetheart. She was great. And there was this paper that we had to write. And, I was talking about something having to do with investments. I forget exactly what it was, but like I wrote, ROI, like a couple different spots throughout the paper, and, passed it in, whatever. She corrected it. And she came over to me and she's like, what does ROI mean? And man, like my heart sank. I was like,
oh, wow.
Oh my God. Like that hit me hard. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like she's, sounded like she really enjoyed teaching, but I was like, did she miss out on this entire like opportunity, like something completely different? And she was an older woman, you know what I mean? So like, I mean, one one can only assume, that like she just kind of took the path, that 99% of people take. But it literally just broke my heart, man. Like that she has never really kind of seen anything different, and like that's one of those stories that I'm not gonna forget. Like I'm like, oh my God. Like at least I mean, like entrepreneurship definitely isn't for everybody, but like I feel like there should be, to some degree, like everybody should kind of get like an introduction to it. You know what I mean? Like a very basic knowledge, as an alternative of something that you can do, if it clicks with you. Like, cause like I said, that totally like hit me really hard when she didn't know what return on investment meant.
I'm a huge advocate that they should teach that somehow, some way in school. And you mentioned, maybe it's not an in-depth entrepreneur, but really kind of entrepreneurial skill set, or investment savvy skill set at a young age, to kind of build those skill sets in that mindset at a young age, versus waiting to kind of have that life experience thrown at you, because I think it will help really jumpstart a lot of people and in the right direction. But this is not the education system that we have, and hopefully one day we can work on changing that.
See, but like what I think is interesting too is like I don't think it's really like super bigger picture. Like I don't know if it's like just not in the traditional education systems like best benefit to teach that stuff. Because like if you're trying to like mass produce the workers and the people working 9 to 5,
I agree.
Like what I mean? Like I totally 110% agree with you, man. Like there should be something taught in school, like anything at all, like past what is in school now. But like just trying to think about it from a much like different angle, like bigger picture, like if you make less workers and more business owners, like then will that kind of put a shift in society? You know what I mean? Like I've never really kind of talked about it before.
Yeah,
Like what do you think?
dude, you brought up a great point, because kind of like that, beehive mentality where the queen bee is pumping out tons of worker bees, right? Drones, 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 and then once in a while we'll have another queen bee, right, to kind of keep that cycle going. But you made a great point where we need to continue to feed the economy, and if there's more business owners, entrepreneurs than there are workers, well, then the system we have right now won't work the way they want it to. But I think that shift is coming, because you see a lot more people nowadays with alternative ways, and whether that's like being an influencer or whatever, different ways of earning a living versus going to punch the time clock. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've been working for 20 years, and there's it provides me a sense of a comfortable life, a steady paycheck, great benefits, a retirement that who knows I'll be able to utilize one day or not, but there's a sense of comfort there.
Right.
But at the same time, I think people want more than just that. And we're seeing a shift in the world, especially since COVID, where people are, quitting more now than, in rates way quicker than they have in the past, where people are like, there's definitely other paths out there for me versus, going to the office. And we'll probably see a lot more of that in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. There's definitely a shift in people's mindset outside of, the way we've been doing it the last 100 years,
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, to see what those time periods look like. I feel like, to your point, like, I feel like it's a lot more accepted by society, to kind of have those like, Instagram influencer jobs or like YouTuber jobs. Like the amount of little kids that I've heard that want to be YouTubers now is like off the charts. You know what I mean? Like they see these guys, they play video games for a living, or like, review toys or something like that. Like they want to be that kid now, like they don't want to be like an accountant or something like that, like they want to be the guy. Like I'm curious to see what that's going to look like. I mean, like, people want to be like TikTok famous and stuff, you know what I mean? Like it's different now, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
My 6-year
go ahead, sorry.
My 6-year-old daughter is she'll have her iPad up, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm doing a YouTube video, which she really isn't. But I'm like, that's just the mentality kids are. They're not playing with the Barbie dolls or whatever. She's pretending she's on YouTube. It's so funny.
Yep, it's crazy, because like that's the thing now. Like that's a whole different kind of shift in itself. Is like what the, like who the influencers are, like that are influencing, like the kids growing up now, like who they look up to now and want to be like, I mean, like the people who are playing like video games on Twitch and stuff, like they're on the freaking news sometimes, you know what I mean? Like winning tournaments and stuff. And like kids I feel like a lot of kids want to be in those kind of roles now.
It brings us back to kind of how we started this conversation on marketing.
Yeah.
And all they are is a marketing engine, right? And it's about, an influencer is the same thing we talked about in the real estate business. It's someone that, like and trust, right? And that's what that is. And, just to kind of bring it back to that, conversation starters, that's all it is marketing in a different way, that is adapted to how we prefer to receive information, and our kids are glued to the freaking iPads and all that shit nowadays. So it's just a marketing engine to get in front of that audience, and people compensated, for that. So
yep. I think that, it ties in really nicely, and like how can you, take that guy that like your kids are watching on YouTube, and like, how can you take your business to that level, and like, how can you be the guy who like people like just gravitate to, for whatever you're doing. And, just like, like building the brand, and, like stemming back to, what we were talking about with, like the direct to seller marketing, earlier in the episode, like how can you get in front of those sellers over and over and over and over again, to be the guy that they think of when it's time for them to make a move, and like, I don't know, it's really fun to think about, like, especially when it comes to business, like what can you do that's in your power to like spread your brand that much to kind of be the guy that, is on the front page, quote unquote, and yeah. Oh my God. I could talk to you for hours, Don. Thank you very, very much for coming on here, man. I'm very, very, very excited to have you on and talk to you again, man. Where on social media can you be found? Like the business, your agent stuff, everything.
Yeah. I mean, really, LinkedIn is the only, way to, reach me, and so definitely on that way. Our flipping business is a website, 3dredevelopment.com. And then on the real estate sales side is heritageandmain.com. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Kyle, to come on and chance to have a dialogue around the world of real estate investing, and hopefully this message just gets out to one person, and if I can impact that one person through this conversation, awesome. Great ROI on both of our times, but man, keep doing what you're doing. It's a great show. I like I said, been listening since the beginning, and what I really love about this show is it's local, right? It's hyper local, in the areas that we work, live, and play. But you have great guests on from all different backgrounds, from people just starting out to people have been doing it and very successful for a long time, to people that are just interested in the idea about real estate investing, and then also in other areas like insurance or other wealth creating areas. So keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully you inspire a lot of people to perhaps look at wealth in a different way, and in building capital and in revenue and in a different way. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for having me on. And I would like to come back on at some point, and hopefully have some success stories and a follow-up from the flipping business with the marketing that we've been doing, and kind of talk about some of the results. So we'll talk soon, and maybe get back on as a follow-up from this episode.
Definitely, man. Thank you very, very much. You have no idea. That really hits me. Thank you very much. All right, guys, that concludes our Creating Wealth podcast episode for today. I want to thank every single person that has listened this far. It really means a lot to know that people can learn from me and with me as we build wealth together. Hopefully you can take home at least one thing from this podcast that will improve your life just a little bit. If you could, please check me out on social. That's at Kyle Curtin Real Estate on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm on Biggerpockets. Until next time, let's build together.